Alright, in this video, I'm going to lay out how to become mentally tough using stoicism. You need mental toughness, and you know it. Life is filled with ups and downs, highs and lows. One day you're riding high, the next day your back is against the wall, and you're fighting for your future. I know about this in a very deep way. I run my own business. I've had great years and great months followed by long droughts where I had to work 16 hours a day to keep things moving forward, because a step back in business can be death of the business. I've had years of making only enough to pay off interest of the debt I was carrying. I've lived off eggs and oatmeal, and through the highs and lows, one thing was a must. I had to keep improving. Even when my back was against the wall, I had to get better, and so do you. That's the challenge of mental toughness. When all hell breaks loose, most people hide, cower, and crumble. They pity themselves and their position in life. Even if it's no fault of yours, pity is a weak and useless thing. While being mentally tough turns those downtimes into victories, into lessons that make you smarter and stronger. So let's figure out how to develop mental toughness. There's one unique battle we face today. We live in the easiest time in history, and it's thanks to ingenuity, innovation, and free market capitalism. With each generation, we've created a better quality of life than we had before. Think about it like this. Even if you were a king 500 years ago, you had no central heating, medicine. Medicine was more superstition than science. To get hot water, you had to boil it over a fire. Your wife could very easily die during childbirth, so could your child. And though you were the most powerful man in your country, you didn't have access to the luxuries even the poorest in the West have to today. Now, today, if you earn $30,000 a year or more, you have it easier than the king had 500 years ago. You can eat whatever you want, get a wide variety of food not native to your area. You can bathe in warm water on demand, stay warm in the winter, and flush your excrement down a toilet. If you're sick, you can be healed. If you're hungry, you can be fed. If you're bored, you can flick on a TV and be entertained. Ease of life we now have at every income level has created the softest group of men our world has ever seen. We whine and bitch and moan when things don't go our way. We spend more time looking at other people live through the brief snapshots they want us to see on social media. We live like kings, but we act like pussies. Years ago, I read a book by Cato the Younger, a stoic in the Roman Empire and a primary adversary of Julius Caesar. In the book, the author describes how the elite were raised. The boys were essentially put into the streets to play war games. They were trained to be tough, to survive on little. They wore rags, struggled to win, and learning was combative. You had to convey your position in argument form against your teacher and the rest of the students in your class. Today, we have participation trophies. We lie to our kids that showing up is enough. We train them to want what they have not earned. We live in a weak time, and so we have to create our own hard times if we're going to be tough, which is lesson number 1. Make your life harder. Seneca said, "Here's a lesson to test your mind's mettle. Take part of a week in which you have only the most meager and cheap food, dress scantily in shabby clothes, and ask yourself if this is really the worst that you feared. It is when times are good that you should grind yourself for tougher times ahead. For when fortune is kind, the soul can build defenses against her ravages. So it is that soldiers practice maneuvers in peacetime, erecting bunkers with no enemies in sight and exhausting themselves under no attack so that when it comes, they won't grow tired." Marvin Hagler, the great middleweight champion, said, "It's tough to get out of bed at 5 a.m. to do road work when you've been sleeping in silk pajamas." The point being that as you win and as your life becomes easier, as you're living on autopilot and you've settled into your existence, it becomes tougher to do the work that victory requires, that mental toughness demands. It's extremely easy and it's very frequent to lose millions of dollars. It's easy to reach a goal, to never reach those heights again. You have to make your life harder. For this, doing difficult physical things is the best remedy to softness. Spend 3 days a week eating only eggs and oatmeal. No sugar, no honey, no ketchup, just bland, boring foods. Have a daily workout routine outside of your gym routine that includes running, push-ups, doing things outside against the elements. The simplest way to develop mental toughness is to do things that you don't like doing. Take cold showers in the morning. Do things that make you uncomfortable. Now, lesson number 2, never see yourself as a victim. Here's a quote. "If you consider yourself a victim, you are not going to have a good life. If, however, you refuse to see yourself as a victim, if you refuse to let your inner self be conquered by your external circumstances, you are likely to have a good life. That was by William B. Irvine. Now, victimhood is a matter of perception, nothing else. Even those who are truly victimized, which is incredibly rare, become powerful when they see themselves not as victims, but as kings. If, however, you allow society's narrative to make you think you're a victim, you're guaranteed to have a horrible life. There's no way around it. This is where the Stoic idea that we control what we can control and release what we can't comes in. You can control your thoughts. You can control how your emotions affect you. You cannot control what others think, how they treat you, what they give you, or if they help you or hurt you. So don't bother. Release everything that you cannot control and dominate. Conquer those things that you can control, including how you view the world and how you view yourself within the world. Which brings us to lesson 3. Thrive amidst misfortune. Here's a quote from Seneca. I judge you unfortunate because you have never lived through misfortune. You have passed through life without an opponent. No one can ever know what you were capable of, not even you. We grow amidst misfortune. It's pain, loss, and failure that tests us. It's iron that sharpens iron. It's misfortune that reveals great men and misfortune that reveals weak men. You get to choose how you handle misfortune. In my experience, the tough times are the funnest. It's when you're sharpest. It's when you work without thinking about eating. When you train harder to release that stressful energy held up within. And these moments never last. There is always sunshine after darkness, so appreciate the tough times while they're there, because you'll look back fondly on them when they're gone. The Stoics understand the value of misfortune and even practiced it when it wasn't there. Seneca, by today's standards, would be a billionaire, yet he dressed as if he had nothing. Possessions meant nothing to him or the other Stoics, and each of them had the means to get nearly everything they wanted, especially Seneca and Marcus Aurelius. But their freedom came from wanting very little. Brings us to lesson number 4, be alone. Here's a quote from Seneca again. Nothing, to my way of thinking, a better proof of a well-oriented mind than a man's ability to stop just where he is and pass some time in his own company. Our minds have always been out of control. Maybe now more than ever. We think about what's happening in the digital world on our phone. We want to be where we are not. Our minds lead us into wormholes that are of no value. Try sitting in a room, no phone, just silence for an hour. Close your eyes. See how hard it is initially to even sit there for a few minutes, let alone an hour. The point of this kind of meditation is that you see how out of control your mind really is, how pointless much of what goes on in and out of it is. Solitude is a gift if it's used well. And if you have a family, if you have people that depend on you, both you and they are better off if you get solitude to observe your thoughts, to understand them, to be at peace alone. No gnawing thoughts tempting you to check your phone, just the present, just yourself. Lesson number 5, don't fight fate. Here's a quote. You must build up your life action by action and be content if each one achieves its goal as far as possible, and no one can keep you from this. There will be some external obstacle, perhaps, but no obstacle to acting with justice, self-control, and wisdom. But what if some other area of my action is thwarted? Well, gladly accept the obstacle for what it is and shift your attention to what is given. And another action will immediately take its place, one that better fits the life you are building. That was Marcus Aurelius. People spend so much of their life trying to control what is out of their control. We get angry at bad weather when we're supposed to have sun for our golf game. We get pissed off in traffic, at the markets, at events that affect us that are completely out of our control. Stop pushing against what is. React to it. Accept that it is how it is and do the best you can with whatever's going on. Something happened and there's a correct action in response to that thing happening. The correct action isn't feeling sorry for yourself or quitting. It's something you can do to use this event to your benefit. Figure out what the best course of action is to the event that is out of your control. Take action and don't get emotional about the situation. It does you no good. Which brings us to lesson 6. Use your off season. We must undergo a hard winter training and not rush into things which we haven't prepared. That was Epictetus. Roman soldiers were sent home for the winter unless they were engaged in a battle. The good soldiers would use this time to train, to get better, to get in better shape, to be more dangerous. Use your downtime to become better. Don't become dull or weak because of time off, because you're out of your season. Each and every day is an opportunity to win. Keep sharpening the sword that is your potential. Don't allow success to make you soft or hiatus to make you weak. Now, lesson 7, grade your day. Here's a quote. I will keep constant watch over myself and, most usefully, will put each day for review. For this is what makes us evil, that none of us looks back on our own lives. We reflect upon only that which we are about to do, and yet our plans for the future descend from our past. Seneca said that. Don't let days, months, and years go by without reflection on how you are performing, improving, and who you are as a man. You ought to be your harshest critic. That isn't to say you're constantly down on yourself, but that you know you can do better. You critique your actions and your thoughts and determine where you make improvements. At the end of every day, grade yourself. Don't wait until your year is over. Make tiny iterations on a daily basis. This is how you improve. This is how you get tougher. Daily reflection is much more effective than annual reflection. Lesson number 8, handle stress, worry, and fear like a king. Finally, a personal note. Mental toughness isn't about surviving, but thriving. It's most needed when times are tough, but it's also required when things are going great. Things like stress, fear, and worry are viewed as things we ought to handle, but that's only good enough for survival. You have to thrive. You don't handle stress, you make it your bitch. You conquer stress, dominate it, use it. You don't run from it or wish it weren't there. You make tough times your bitch too. You take the fear of an outcome that hasn't happened yet and you use it. You don't allow it to make you stressed or worried. You use it to give you energy, to light a fire under your ass. You use it to win. If you want to become mentally tough, go a step further than just handling hard times, than just dealing with stress. Dominate all of it. That's what winners do, and you're a winner. Get after it. Now, if you like this video, please give us a thumbs up, and please subscribe to my channel for more videos. Take care.